Hey, so, tonight, I want to share something personal. You know that moment when you're supposed to be celebrating the happiest news of your life, but instead you're sitting in a hospital bathroom, mascara running down your face, wondering how someone you trusted could turn your joy into a weapon? That was me 6 months ago, clutching a positive pregnancy test in one hand and my husband's worried text in the other, realizing that the person who was supposed to be family had orchestrated the cruelest performance I'd ever witnessed. This isn't just about a baby announcement gone wrong. It's about the slow unraveling of a relationship I thought was real, the red flags I ignored because I wanted so badly to belong, and the night I finally understood that some people don't celebrate your happiness, they resent it. It's about learning that sometimes the most dangerous person in your life is the one who smiles to your face while sharpening knives behind your back. If this kind of storytelling speaks to you, feel free to like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your thoughts or your own story. Now, die in the lights or put on your headphones and let's begin. I met Daniel 3 years ago at a friend's art gallery opening, and he was everything I didn't know I was looking for. Patient, grounded, the kind of man who remembered your coffee order and actually listened when you talked about your day. We got married 18 months later in a small ceremony by the lake, and I genuinely believed it'd found my person. But here's what they don't tell you about marrying into a family: you're not just committing to one person. You're inheriting an entire ecosystem of relationships, histories, and expectations you know nothing about. Daniel's sister, Rebecca, seemed amazing at first. She was the first to hug me at family dinners, the one who'd pull me aside to show me childhood photos of Daniel, the woman who texted me links to sales at stores she thought I'd like. I always wanted a sister, she told me once, squeezing my hand across the table during Thanksgiving. I'm so glad Daniel found you. I believed her. God, I really believed her. The first year was genuinely good. Rebecca and I would ramab coffee every few weeks, text about random things, coordinate gifts for Daniel's birthday. She worked in event planning, and I was in marketing, so we had that professional overlap that made conversation easy. Her husband, Tom, was quiet but kind, and their daughter Lily was this sweet 6-year-old would draw me pictures. On the surface, we looked like the perfect extended family. Sunday dinners at Daniel's parents' house. Holiday photos, where everyone smiled. The works. But there were moments, small ones, easy to dismiss, where something felt off. Like the thank you when Rebecca accidentally told Daniel's entire family about my promotion before I could, reframing it as "Kate's going to be so busy now, we probably won't see her as much." Or when she planned a surprise birthday party for Daniel on a weekend she knew I'd already booked a trip for our anniversary, then acted hurt when I suggested we reschedule. "I just wanted to do something nice for my brother," she said, voice trembling slightly. "But if you think your trip is more important than family," I apologized. We rescheduled the trip. Daniel kissed my forehead and said I was being understanding, that Rebecca meant well. And I pushed down the small voice in my head that whispered, "Does she though?" The thing about manipulation is that it's never one big, obvious thing. It's 1,000 paper cuts disguised as kindness. It's always having a reason that makes you look unreasonable if you object. It's being cast as the difficult one when you set a boundary. But I didn't have the language for it yet. I just knew that after spending thank you in with Rebecca, I often felt vaguely anxious and somehow at fault for things I couldn't quite name. When Daniel and I started trying for a baby, we kept it private. Not secret, just ours. We'd been trying for about 8 months when I finally saw those 2 pink lines on a Thursday morning in March. I took 3 more tests just to be sure, then spent the entire day at work replaying how I detailed Daniel. I wanted it to be special. I wanted it to be just ours for a moment before it became everyone else's news to dissect and celebrate and project their own expectations onto. That night, I set up a little treasure hunt around our apartment. Clues hidden in places that meant something to us: the drawer, where we kept takeout menus, the bookshelf with our favorite novels, the window seat where Wed made the decision to start trying. The final clue led high-end to a small box with a pair of tiny sneakers inside and a note. "Ready to coach this little one?" Daniel coached youth soccer on weekends, and I knew it would wreck high-end. He cried, like, full-on sobbed into my shoulder while holding those miniature shoes. "We're having a baby," he kept saying, voice breaking. "We're really having a baby." We stayed up until 2 in the morning, talking about names and nurseries and whether our kid would have his eyes or my stubbornness. It was perfect. It was ours. "When should we tell people?" he asked, fingers interlaced with mine in the dark. Let's wait until the 12-week mark, I said. I want to make sure everything's okay first. And honestly, I want to keep this just between us for a little while longer. He understood. Daniel always understood. But here's where I made my first mistake. I underestimated how much Rebecca paid attention to everything. 3 weeks into my pregnancy, she texted me, "Hey, want to remab lunch this week? Feel like I haven't seen you in forever." I'd been avoiding coffee because the smell made me nauseous, making excuses about work deadlines and being tired. But refusing lunch would have seemed weird, so I aramid. We met at this little bistro she loved, and I ordered a salad and water. "No wine?" she asked, eyebrow raised. "You usually get a glass." "Just not feeling it today," I said, forcing a smile. Trying to be healthier. She watched me for a beat too long, then smiled. "That's Raymeet. You look good." But something in her tone made my skin prickle, like she was filing away information for later use. The next few weeks were a careful dance of deflection. Morning sickness hit me hard, but I powered through family dinners. Excusing myself to the bathroom when waves of nausea hit, I started wearing looser clothes, not because I was showing yet, but because everything felt tight and uncomfortable. Daniel's mom made a comment about me looking tired, and I blamed work stress. Rebecca just smiled and nodded and said nothing. By week 10, I was feeling more stable. The nausea was easing, and my first ultrasound was scheduled for the following week. Daniel and I decided we'd announce at his parents' house the Sunday after the appointment, assuming everything looked good. We'd tell his parents and Rebecca's family together. Make it a celebration. Mom will cry, Daniel predicted, reminning, and Dad will probably make some joke about needing to buy more beer for when the kid's older. "What about Rebecca?" I asked. "She'll be excited," he said confidently. "She loves being an aunt." I wanted to believe Hyan. I really did. The ultrasound was magical. Seeing that tiny blob with a heartbeat, hearing the technician confirm everything looked perfect, getting those remaining photos to take home, it made everything real in a way the positive test hadn't. We drove home with the sonorama pictures in my purse. Both of us giddy and terrified and so ready to share our news. That Saturday night, the night before we planned to announce, my phone rang at 11 p.m. "Rebecca, Kate, oh my God, are you awake?" "Yeah, what's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I just am going through some old photos, and I found this hilarious picture of Daniel from high school, and I need to show you right now. Can I come over?" I'm like 10 minutes away. It was late and weird, but Rebecca was like that sometimes impulsive, spontaneous. Daniel was already asleep, and I figured it was harmless. Sure, I guess. She showed up 15 minutes later with her laptop and a bottle of wine. "For you," she said, thrusting it toward me. "That Pinot you love." "Oh, I can't tonight," I said automatically. "I'm exhausted. But thank you. Just one glass." She pressed. "Come on. When do we ever get sister thank you in anymore?" "Really? I can't. I'm just not drinking right now." She set the wine down slowly, eyes narrowing. "You're not drinking. You haven't had coffee in weeks. You've been tired and stressed and wearing nothing but Daniel's oversized hoodies." She paused, smile spreading across her face. "You're pregnant." My heart stopped. "Rebecca, Oh my God, you She remabbed my hands, eyes wide. "Kate, that's amazing. When did you find out? How far along are you? Have you told Daniel's parents yet?" Everything in me screamed to lie, but I'd already hesitated too long. "We just found out recently. We're telling the family tomorrow, actually, so please don't say anything yet. We wanted to do it together." Of course. God, I'm so excited for you guys." She hugged me, and I could feel her heart racing, or maybe that was mine. Lily's going to lose her mind. She's been asking for a cousin forever. We talked for maybe 20 minutes, her asking questions about due dates and whether we had names picked out and if we'd found out the gender yet. I kept the answers vague. That instinct in my gut, remowing louder. You shouldn't have told her. You shouldn't have confirmed. But she was family, right? And we were telling everyone the next day anyway. What difference did one night make? She left around midnight, hugging me extra tight at the door. "I'm so happy for you," she whispered. "You're going to be an amazing mom." I went to bed feeling unsettled but telling myself I was being paranoid. Daniel stirred when I climbed in bed and beside Hyan. "Was someone here?" Rebecca stopped by. "It's fine. Go back to sleep." He mumbled something, and pulled me close, his hand resting on my still flat stomach. I lay there in the dark, listening to his breathing, trying to ignore the knot of anxiety in my chest. The next morning, we drove to his parents' house with the sonorama and pictures in a card. The plan was simple: have brunch. Then after dessert, give them the card and share our news. Rebecca and her family were already there when we arrived. Lily running up to hug Daniel's legs. Uncle Danny, guess what? What, kiddo? Mommy says we have a big surprise today. I glanced at Rebecca, who was smiling serenely, arranging flowers on the dining table. Our eyes met, and something cold slithered down my spine. That's nice, sweetie, Daniel said, ruffling Lily's hair. He didn't notice. He didn't see what I saw in his sister's expression, that glint of something sharp beneath the surface warmth. Brunch was its usual chaotic affair. Daniel's dad told stories. His mom fussed over whether everyone had enough food. Tom helped Lily cut her pancakes. Rebecca kept catching my eye across the table, smiling in a way that made me feel like I was watching a performance I didn't understand yet. We were clearing plates when Daniel's mom clapped her hands together. Before anyone leaves, Rebecca said she has something to share. My stomach dropped. Oh, it's nothing major, Rebecca said, standing up. But actually, Kate, this involves you too. Come here. I walked over on numb legs. Daniel was beside me, confused but smiling. His whole family was watching, expectant and happy. And Rebecca looked radiant. So, she began, hand on my shoulder. I know Kate wanted to share this news herself, but I literally couldn't wait one more second because I'm just so excited. She pulled me into a side hug that felt more like a ram-up. Kate and Daniel are having a baby. The room erupted. Daniel's mom screamed. His dad started clapping. Lily jumped up and down, and Daniel looked at me with this expression of hurt and confusion that I'll never forget. You told her, he said quietly, under the chaos of congratulations. Last night? She guessed. I managed. I'm sorry, But Rebecca was already talking, her voice carrying over everyone else's. And you know what the best part is? Kate told me last night that she's secretly hoping for a girl because, and I'm quoting here, boys are so much work, and I really want a mini-me who I can dress up. I never said that. I never said anything remotely like that. And, Rebecca continued, laughing, she's already planning to hire a night nurse because she's worried about losing sleep affecting her work performance. Isn't that practical? I mean, I breastfed Lily myself and barely slept for a year, but everyone has different priorities. The room got quieter. Daniel's mom's smile faltered. His dad looked uncomfortable. That's not I started, but Rebecca squeezed my shoulder. Oh, and she mentioned she's planning to put the baby in daycare at like 3 months old. Which, again, totally her choice. Some people are just more career-focused. I took a year off with Lily, but Kate's got that marketing director promotion to think about. I felt like I was drowning. Every word out of her mouth was either a twisted version of things he'd said in different contexts or complete fabrications. But she was delivering it all with such cheerful sincerity that objecting would make me look defensive or like I was lying about my own words. Rebecca, I said, voice shaking. That's not what I... Oh, and the best part. She was really building now, feeding off the awkward energy in the room. She told me she's going to make Daniel do all the night feedings because, and this is so funny, she needs her beauty sleep. She laughed, but nobody else did. Daniel's face had gone completely blank. That's his tell when he's hurt. He shuts down, goes perfectly neutral. That's enough, I said, pulling away from her ram-up. You're misrepresenting everything. Am I? She looked genuinely confused, the perfect picture of innocent surprise. I'm sorry. I thought we were just being real about modern parenting. There's nothing wrong with being honest about your feelings. Those aren't my feelings, I said. Louder now. You're twisting everything I said. Kate, Daniel's mom said gently. Honey, maybe you're just feeling emotional. Pregnancy hormones can. No. I turned to face everyone, tears burning my eyes. I don't think boys are more work than girls. I never said I wanted a night nurse. Rebecca asked me if I'd considered sleep help, and I said maybe, depending on how things went. And the daycare comment was about logistics 3 years from now because Daniel and I both work, not because I don't want to spend Thanksgiving with my baby. The silence was deafening. And the night feeding thing? My voice cracked. What I actually said was that Daniel and I plan to share nighty duties because we're partners. But apparently, that got turned into me being some selfish diva who cares more about sleep than her own child. Rebecca's expression was the perfect wounded Victian. Kate, I didn't mean to upset you. I was just excited in sharing what you told me. If I got some details mixed up, you didn't mix up details, I said. You deliberately reframed everything to make me look bad. That's not fair, she said, voice trembling now. I would never do that. You're my sister. And there it was, the trap. If I kept pushing, I was the aramessive one. The hormonal pregnant woman attacking her well-meaning sister-in-law who was just excited about the baby. I could see it in everyone's faces. Discomfort, confusion, the slow calcification of judgment. Daniel touched my arm. Kate, let's go get some air. We walked outside, and I immediately started crying. Not pretty crying, ugly, gasping sobs that I couldn't control. All the joy of our announcement had been poisoned. Instead of celebrating together, we were standing in his parents' driveway, while I tried to explain how his sister had systematically dismantled my character in under 3 minutes. Did you say those things? He asked. In any context? Not the way she made it sound. Daniel, she twisted everything. The night nurse comment was a hypothetical question she asked. The daycare thing was about long-term planning. And the rest she just made up. He was quiet for a long thank you, Anne. Why didn't you tell me she came over last night? I did. You were half asleep, but I told you. You didn't tell me she guessed about the pregnancy. We were supposed to announce together, Kate. As a team. I know. I'm sorry. She figured it out and I couldn't lie. And it was going to be one night before we told everyone anyway. I didn't think I couldn't even finish the sentence. I didn't think she'd weaponize it. I didn't think she'd use our private moment to humiliate me in front of your entire family. Daniel ran his hands through his hair. That gesture he always did when he was overwhelmed. This is a mess. I know. My mom thinks you're this cold career woman now who doesn't actually want to bond with the baby. I know. And Rebecca's in there probably crying about how you attacked her. I know. My voice was barely a whisper. We stood there in the spring sunshine, and I felt the first real crack in our foundation, not because he didn't believe me, but because now there was doubt. There was space between us where there hadn't been before. We didn't stay for dessert. Daniel made excuses about me not feeling well, which was true in a way. I felt physically sick from adrenaline and anger. Rebecca hugged me goodbye at the door, whispering, I hope you feel better soon, with such perfect concern that I almost believed it yenage in the whole thing. The drive home was silent. When we got to our apartment, I went straight to the bedroom and lay down, still in my dress, staring at the ceiling. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed, and for a long thank you, and neither of us spoke. I believe you, he finally said. For what it's worth. I believe that's not what you meant. But I don't know what to do with this. Rebecca is my sister. She's been in my life for 31 years. You've been in it for 3. And I don't understand why she would do something like this. Neither do I whispered. But she did. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the scene. Rebecca's performance. The way she'd positioned herself as my champion while systematically destroying my reputation. The scariest part wasn't even what she'd said, it was how she'd said it. With such conviction, such plausible deniability. Around 3 a.m., I started Googling how to deal with manipulative in-laws, signs of covert narcissism, family gaslighting. I fell down a rabbit hole of articles and forums, reading stories from other women who'd experienced similar patterns. The surprise visits, the boundary violations disguised as closeness, the way everything was twisted just enough to make you question your own memory. One article talked about relational aramession, how some people maintain power and control through social manipulation rather than overt conflict. They don't attack you directly. They attack your reputation, your relationships, your credibility. And they do it in ways that make them look sympathetic. I thought about all those small moments over the past 2 years. The thank you when as Rebecca had shared my private information without asking. The thank you when as Shed planned things that excluded me but made me look bad for pointing it out. The thank you when Shed told Daniel's whole family about my miscarriage scare from a previous relationship information ID shared in confidence, framing it as just wanting everyone to be aware of Kate's history so we could support her. At the thank you in, it felt violated but guilty for being Anrami. She was trying to help, right? She cared, right? But caring people ask permission. Caring people respect boundaries. Caring people don't weaponize your vulnerabilities. Monday morning, I went to work exhausted and hollow. Around noon, I got a text from Daniel's mom. "Hi, honey. Just wanted to check in. I'm sorry yesterday got tense. Hormones can be so hard during pregnancy. Remember when Rebecca was pregnant with Lily? She cried over a commercial. We're all so excited for your little one. Let me know if you need anything." The message was kind. It was also a dismissal. My legitimate anger had been repackaged as hormonal overreaction. Rebecca's manipulation was now just tension. I showed the text to my best friend Jen at lunch. She read it, then looked at me with concern I rarely saw from her. "Kate, this is textbook gaslighting, and your mother-in-law is enabling it. But she doesn't know that's what she's doing. Does that matter? The impact is the same. You've been made the problem." Over the next week, I tried to move forward. Daniel and I really talked about Rebecca and boundaries. He admitted he'd noticed small things over the years, but had always written them off as personality quirks. "She's dramatic," he'd say. "That's just how she is." But how she is had consequences. For me, for us, for our marriage. The following Sunday, we declined the family dinner invitation. Daniel told his mom I was dealing with bad morning sickness, which was partially true. Rebecca texted me, "Feel better. Let me know if you need anything. I could drop off some ginger tea." I didn't respond. 2 days later, she showed up at my office. I was in a meeting when my assistant interrupted to say my sister-in-law was in the lobby. I felt that familiar dread, but I went down. Rebecca was there with coffee and a bag from my favorite lunch place. "I thought you might be too busy to eat," she said, smiling. "And I wanted to apologize if I upset you on Sunday. That wasn't my intention at all." We were in a public space. My coworkers were around. I couldn't cause a scene. "Thank you for the food," I said carefully. "But Rebecca, we need to set some boundaries." "Of course. I totally understand. You're going through a lot." "It's not about me going through a lot. It's about the fact that you took our private news and used it to make me look bad in front of Daniel's entire family." Her eyes welled up. "Is that really what you think? That I would deliberately try to hurt you?" "Yes," I said. "I do." She flinched like I'd slapped her. A woman walking past glanced over, concerned. "Kate," Rebecca said quietly, "I love you. Your family. If I said something that came out wrong, I'm truly sorry, but I would never intentionally hurt you. You have to know that. And here's the thing about gaslighting, it makes you doubt yourself even when you can know what happened." Standing there, looking at her tears, part of me wondered if I was being unfair, if I was reading malice into genuine mistakes. But then I remembered her face during the announcement, the way Shed built momentum with each revelation. The satisfaction I'd glimpsed before Shed rearranged her expression. "I need you to leave," I said, "and I need you to stop showing up uninvited." "Okay," she whispered. "I understand. They'll give you space." She left the coffee and food on the table and walked out. Within an hour, I had texts from Daniel's mom, his dad, and his aunt. All variations of, "What happened with Rebecca? She's really upset." I forwarded them all to Daniel with a single message. "This is what she does." That night, we had the biggest fight of our marriage. Not because he thought I was wrong, but because he was tired of being in the middle. "I hate this," he said. "I hate that I have to choose between my wife and my family." "You don't have to choose between me and your family," I said. "You have to choose between my well-being and Rebecca's manipulation. Those aren't the same thing." To them it is. To my parents, defending you means attacking Rebecca. Then your parents are part of the problem. Silence. The kind that echoes. 3 weeks later, we went back to family dinner. Rebecca was perfectly pleasant, acting as if nothing had happened. She asked about my pregnancy symptoms, offered advice, showed me pictures of Lily's new room that they were decorating. It was like the blow-up had never occurred. But something had shifted in me. I saw her now. I saw the pattern. And I stopped trying to convince everyone else to see it too. Instead, I became strategic. I kept conversations surface level. I never shared personal information. When she asked about nursery plans or baby names, I smiled and said we were still deciding. I stopped going to her for coffee. I stopped pretending we were close. And you know what? She hated it. Because without my vulnerability, she had nothing to weaponize. Without my trust, she couldn't perform her role as concerned sister. I'd closed the door, and she kept knocking, trying to find another way in. The baby came in October, a healthy boy we named James. The birth was hard but worth every second. When they laid high-end on my chest, everything else disappeared. This was what mattered. This tiny perfect human who had no idea yet that family could be complicated. Rebecca came to the hospital with flowers and gifts. She cried when she held James, telling me how beautiful he was, how proud she was of me. "You're going to be such a good mom," she said. And for a moment, just a moment, I wondered if maybe we could repair this. But then she posted photos of herself with James on social media before I'd even posted any. She captioned them, "Finally an auntie again. Welcome to the world, baby James. Auntie Becca loves you so much." Shed positioned herself as the central figure in his birth story. In the photos, I was barely visible in the hospital bed background. I asked her to take them down. She did, but only after posting a follow-up. Took these down per Kate's request. Somebody's mom instincts make us protective. Totally understand. Making me look controlling while she looked ramacious. That's when I told Daniel I was done. Not with his family, not with trying, but with pretending that Rebecca's behavior was acceptable, or that I had to keep accommodating it to keep the peace. If she can't respect basic boundaries, I said, then she doesn't get access to me or James. I will show up at family events. I will be civil, but I will not let her into my life, and I need you to support that. It took thank you in, but he did. We set boundaries as a unit. No surprise visits. No posting about James without our permission. No sharing information Wed told her in confidence. And when she violated them, which she did, repeatedly, we enforced consequences. We left early. We declined invitations. We stopped engaging with her manipulation. It wasn't easy. His parents were upset. They thought we were being harsh, that I was driving a wedge into the family. But Daniel held firm. "Kate isn't the problem," he told them. "Rebecca's behavior is. And if you can't see the difference, that's something you need to work out. Slowly, painfully, things improved. Not with Rebecca, she still views me as the villain in her story. But between Daniel and me, we ran you stronger. We learned how to be a team against external pressure. We learned that protecting our little family somebody as meant disappointing the bigger one. James is 8 months old now. His perfect all curiosity and giggles and tiny ramasping hands. Somebody as I look at high-end and think about the pregnancy announcement that got stolen from us. And I still feel that old anger. But mostly I feel remateful. Because Rebecca's cruelty taught me something important. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Not everyone who claims to love you has your best interests at heart. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who make you question your own reality. Do I wish things were different? Yes. Do I wish Rebecca could have just been happy for us? Of course. But I can't control her behavior. Only my response to it. And I choose to respond by protecting my peace, my marriage, and my son. Last week, Daniel and I took James to the park. It was one of those perfect autumn days, golden light, cool breeze, leaves crunching under our feet. James was in his stroller, babbling at everything. And Daniel was telling Hein about the ducks we were going to see. And I thought, this is what matters. Not the drama, not the manipulation, not proving myself to people who've already decided who I am. Just this, my husband, my son, our life that we're building on our own terms. Rebecca will always be part of Daniel's family. She'll be at holidays and birthdays and family photos. But she's no longer in my head, no longer taking up space in my heart. I've learned to be polite without being vulnerable, present without being available. And honestly, that's enough. Because I've finally realized that not every relationship can be saved. Some people aren't capable of the honesty and respect that real connection requires. And trying to force it only hurts you. So I'm done forcing it. I'm done trying to make people see what they refuse to acknowledge. I'm done sacrificing my mental health for the illusion of family harmony. James deserves parents who model healthy boundaries. He deserves to remow up understanding that love shouldn't hurt. That family doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. And that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. That's the lesson I'm choosing to take from this. Not bitterness, but boundaries. Not resentment, but resilience. And the knowledge that I'm stronger than I thought. Strong enough to stand up for myself even when it's uncomfortable. Strong enough to demand respect even when it costs me approval. Maybe one day Rebecca will understand what she did. Maybe she won't. Either way, it's no longer my burden to carry. I've got a son to raise and a life to build. And that's where my energy goes now. So that's the story. That's how our joyful pregnancy announcement turned into a masterclass in manipulation, and how I learned that somebody is the people who hurt you most are the ones who claim to love you. I won't pretend it doesn't still sting some teens. When I see other families where the sisters-in-law are genuinely close, I feel a pang of relief for what I thought I had. When James smiles at Rebecca during family gatherings, part of me worries about what she might say about me when he's older. But I can't control that. I can only control how I show up with honesty, boundaries, and self-respect. If you're in a similar situation, here's what I wish someone had told me earlier. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. And you're not required to keep people in your inner circle just because they're technically family. It's okay to protect yourself. It's okay to say no. It's okay to walk away from relationships that consistently hurt you, even if other people don't understand. And to anyone who's had their joy weaponized against them, whether it's a pregnancy announcement, a promotion, a wedding, or any other happy moment, I'm sorry. You deserved better. You deserved celebration without sabotage. Take care of yourself. Set those boundaries. And remember, the right people will respect them. The wrong people will make you feel guilty for having them. Choose yourself anyway.